Hello and welcome to the Hibs Observer Thursday afternoon briefing with myself, Liam Bryce, joined as always by Patrick McPartlin. Here in the midst of the international break to have a wee look back over Hibs 11 turning out and Lewis Vaughan's testimonial last night. We'll also discuss the new deal for Jordan Obita and the fact that we are 6 months old today at the Hibs Observer. A huge milestone for us, of course, Patrick, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that later on. Maybe just reflect a wee bit on how the last 6 months have gone, and if we can, convince you to join us for the next 6 months and beyond. Just first of all, though, I just need to take a quick pause to spotlight our new sponsor, MPH Group, the award-winning family-run business excelling in home improvements across mainland Scotland. Specialising in bespoke kitchens, bathrooms and high-efficiency boilers, MPH Group brings your dream home to reality. They've recently achieved the prestigious Construction Line Gold, Safe Contractor and ISO certifications, underscoring their commitment to excellence, safety and quality management in all their projects. This accomplishment is a testament to their dedication to providing the best possible service to their clients. They're also proud to announce their latest KBB showroom in Dunfermline, which is now open for appointments. Experience the dedication and craftsmanship that sets MPH Group apart. Visit www.mph.group and see how they can transform your home. So on we go to last night's Hibs action of a sort, Patrick. Nick Montgomery taking an 11, and more than an 11, a squad mixed with youth and experience to play in Lewis Vaughan's testimonial. Vaughan obviously being a lifelong Hibs fan, taking on Wraith Rovers at Starks Park. You were there for us to take in the game. How did it go? What did you take away from it? Was it a worthwhile run out for some players, and obviously a nice night for a lifelong Highby as well, I'd imagine?
Yeah, I think obviously the main thing was it was Lewis's night. I think putting rivalries aside, no matter who you support, I think you look at Lewis Vaughan's career and the number of injuries he's had, and to keep on coming back from that, and to even despite that, to give what he has to Wraith is quite he's put in quite a shift over the past, I think, 13 and a half years, he was saying. So I think nice for him to get his testimonial, to be playing against the team he supported all his life. And yeah, I think it was a good occasion. I think a slightly disappointing turnout, but when you consider it was midweek during the international break, and it obviously wasn't the sort of full strength Hibs squad, then that maybe impacted folk making the trip. But still I think over 2,200 people there. And I think it was, you go along to testimonials and sometimes you don't really know what you're going to get. We'd seen before the game that Ian Murray and Colin Cameron, the Wraith coaching team, are going to be playing at some point. So when you see things like that being trailed, you do think, is this going to be a serious game? You also had Nick Montgomery saying beforehand that he was going to treat it like a proper friendly. So you think this is going to be interesting. How's this going to go? But I think it was. Yeah, I think from the starting lineup only really had Will Fish as one of the sort of first team regulars in the lineup. Lewis Stevenson and Paul Hanlon probably the other noteworthy starters, and then the rest of it really just kind of supplemented by youth players and people like Eliza Mayenda, Jair Tavares as well. But you've obviously got a lot of young players in there trying to impress the manager. You've got fringe players maybe trying to make a point that they deserve a bit more game time. I think Hanlon and Stevenson both getting on the score sheet was unexpected, but also maybe a timely reminder to Nick Montgomery what they can do. Yeah. I think a heck of a move from Lewis Stevenson to score a goal barely 2 days after Jordan Obita signs a new deal. So
just a reminder that he's to everybody that he's still here, isn't it? He's not gone away.
He's not gone away, and typical that he would score. He would score in Kirkcaldy, not too far away from his high school, Balweary, and but aside from that, it was a good run out for a lot of the Hibs youngsters. Really impressive performances from a lot of them. You got Josh McDonald, only 15, coming off the bench, scoring the 5th goal. Ruben McAllister, really tidy performance, anchoring the midfield and a decent free kick. and sort of setting up the second goal for Jair. And, just some of the sort of under-18s coming on and really not looking, too out of place. And there must be that feeling at the back of their minds that, because Montgomery has given debuts to the likes of, Rory Whittaker, Josh Landers, people like that, there is this sort of feeling that if they play well, then, that could be them next, because they know his dedication to sort of bringing through youth and, giving youngsters a chance. So, not your standard testimonial fare. I think it was, I think it started off a little bit like that, where you sort of thought, is this going to be a game that's worth watching? But in the end, you get 6 goals, and there were some really good strikes in there. Lewis Vaughan unlucky not to score, and I think it was quite amusing when Murray Johnson saved one of his efforts, and there was a sort of chorus of good-natured booing from the crowd. Murray obviously not reading the script. But I think good for some of the Hibs players to get that run out, to get those minutes. Obviously a few away on international duty, and some either coming back from injury or nursing knocks from playing 3 games in a week before the break. And it was nice to see a lot of the first team were there just to kind of support the event and to kind of show respect to Lewis Vaughan as well. So like I say, you can sometimes you don't really know what you're going to get with a testimonial, but I think it was probably a useful exercise for Hibs, and a nice way to show appreciation to a lifelong Hibby in Lewis Vaughan.
Yeah, certainly sounded like a good occasion. As you say, nice to, I'd imagine, for Nick Montgomery to be able to look at some of the the under-18 squad, some of the fringe guys up close, and a brilliant opportunity for the sort of kids as well to I'd imagine I think we know that Montgomery often gets along to these youth games as often as he can, but it's different when he's kind of, I suppose, watching it. The first team manager is watching it at the side as a mere spectator, and then when you're actually getting the chance to play in a team that he is managing, must be real motivation for some of the younger guys, especially obviously seeing the opportunity that others have had this season. The manager obviously not scared to throw players in if they've earned the opportunity. The other thing, I was a wee bit surprised to see Will Fish in the team, having been already being Hibs' most used player, and not even just outfield player. He's played more minutes than anybody else this season. I'd have thought he was maybe due a wee rest, but no, there he was in the starting lineup as always.
I think that was a bit surprising as well. I know Hibs they're not blessed with a huge number of centre backs, but I think you looked at the lineup and thought, oh, there he is, and that was the name that probably stood out the most. But he played 45 minutes, and Nick Montgomery explained that it was almost out of necessity, really. That with the other players he's got available, obviously, I think still managing Rocky Bashiri. We've seen him playing. He's been putting on his social media. He's had his leg taped up. There's obviously maybe a wee niggle there that he's been managing, and you don't want to risk a player, in a testimonial. So I think, like Will Fish, he's only 20, and Nick Montgomery said that afterwards that just what guy he is. So I'm surprised to see him playing, but he got his 45 minutes, and then I think sort of that was that. But it is probably worth highlighting, that he has, as you say, he has played more minutes than anybody else, and has just been, a source of real consistency at a time when, Montgomery's been really he's struggled with injuries, and, especially at centre back, when you consider the number of people that he's played alongside. He's played alongside Bashiri, he's played alongside Hanlon, Triantis, Jordan Obita on one occasion. So, Mr. Consistency, and, no surprise to see him putting a shift in again, even in a testimonial.
Yeah, absolutely. You've actually led us perfectly into our next topic there. Speaking of Mr. Consistency, I think if there's anybody that's going to challenge Will Fish for that title, especially in terms of outfield players this season, it's going to be Jordan Obita. He's been a real source of kind of stability and reliability in a season that's just, I think, for Hibs in so many ways has just been defined by inconsistency, whether that's results, performances, or just availability of players. He's been a near constant. He's been available for 27 of the 30 league games and played in 26 of them. So there's a real kind of robustness about him. So for that reason, and obviously his performances and his talent as well, it was no not a surprise, I would think, to see him rewarded with a new Hibs contract this week. Keeps him at Easter Road until 2026. So if I'm not mistaken, that's a year's extension to his current deal. It seems a really kind of sensible piece of business for Hibs. You know, he's made that left back position his own this season. He's filled in at centre back where required as well. He's one of those players who just does. He's an all-rounder. He's good going forwards. We had a look at his defensive stats yesterday as well. You can see that on the website if you want to check that out in more detail. You know, very solid defensively. He offers a threat going forwards. Formed a good relationship, I think, especially since the January transfer window with Mazian Malida. Kind of reading his comments on the extension as well, it seems that he's enjoying being in Edinburgh. It seems to be good for him, good for his family. So it just seems to be, you know, Patrick, one that works for all parties, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think it's, you know, the age he's at, it's one of those ones you're thinking he's probably not going to make Hibs a big sort of wad of cash sometime in the future, but his performances have been such that, you know, you just think maybe give him an improved deal and, you know, maybe ward off any interest if there is going to be any interest in the summer, because you'd imagine there'll be clubs down south who might be keeping an eye and sort of thinking, oh, well, he might be unsettled, we might be able to tempt him back down south. But I think it's, you know, you look at his performances and I don't think it's a stretch to say that he's probably one of the serious contenders for Player of the Year from, you know, a season that's not really had too many standouts for the club in general. You know, you called him Mr. Consistency. I don't think he's really had too many games where you've thought, you know, that's a poor performance, or, you know, he's been really ineffective, or, you know, he just sort of feels like one of those players who you're always going to kind of get a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 performance from him. And I think you look at the summer, and there's going to be a lot of upheaval at Hibs in terms of recruitment. You know, there's a lot of players out of contract. There's loan players come to the end of their tenures, and, you know, I just think in what will be a sort of busy close season, it's quite good just to have that sort of stability and know that you've got a player of that standard, of that quality, who's just going to be, you know, be here for, you know, at the very least next season as well. And, you know, he's got a young family. Just recently had another baby, and, you know, that sort of having that continuity, just being able to stay in the one place and stay settled. You know, I think he's obviously loving the city. I think he's enjoying the team. He's enjoying the games, and it's a no-brainer really. And, you know, I think, you know, we've seen it even at the start of his Hibs career when he scored against Luzern in the home leg of the UEFA Conference League qualifiers, and you've sort of seen, you know, with some of his crosses, he scored again at the weekend, and he's I mean, it's difficult because you look at the left back position, and for so long it's been kind of Lewis Stevenson's, and he's seen off so many different people from, you know, all walks of life, and then, you know, Jordan Obita's just, you know, the one who's really kind of unseated and you know, dethroned him, if you like. But I don't think Lewis would have any sort of complaints with that. You know, he has been a standout performer, and, you know, I think at times, like, there's maybe that when he arrived in the summer, it wasn't really one of those sort of signings where you go, wow, you know, that's a real kind of statement of intent. It was just yeah, okay, that's, you know, signed a left back, you needed to do that, fair enough. But, yeah, I don't think it's been a case of proving people wrong, but I think, you know, when you think about the numbers of players who come to Scotland from sort of like, you know, League One, League Two in England, who sort of arrive, don't really do a great deal, and then leave without much of a fanfare, I think it's maybe understandable that there was a little bit of, not sort of, I don't know what the word is, but, you know, people were maybe a little bit unsure what they were getting. You know, was this going to be someone who was going to hit the ground running and be really impressive and be a good addition to the team and to Scottish football, or would they just kind of, you know, arrive and sort of, you know, fade into the background? But I think he's very much sort of, he's turned up, and he's you know, he looks like he's enjoying his football. He looks like a player who's enjoying where he is, and, you know, I mean, that's one of the sort of big things, isn't it? If you've got someone who's enjoying their football and enjoys the club where they're at, then it can, you know, just make such a big difference, especially if things off the field are going as well as they can, which they seem to be. So, yeah, I mean, a no-brainer to give him a new deal, more stability, and, you know, you'd imagine that other players might look at that and think, you know, if Hibs is on the table for them as an offer, they might look at that and think, you know, I could do that. So, you know, it serves as a nice wee sort of reminder that, you know, not every player who comes up from the England lower leagues is going to crash and burn in Scotland. Like, there are ones who can be success stories, and I think Obita is, you know, very much one of them.
Yeah, definitely. I think you touched on it a wee bit there, and I think I mentioned it in the piece yesterday as well. Just in terms of the amount of kind of transition we're probably expecting at Hibs this summer, it's kind of good to get an experienced player like that tied down, because it's not just, you know, not maybe just the numbers that are going to come and go this summer. Sorry, it's, you know, some of the personalities that might be moving on. Obviously, there's a fair bit of uncertainty over certain players. You know, we don't know what's going to happen yet with David Marshall, Lewis Stevenson, Paul Hanlon. So, you know, you take those guys away, and then, you know, if somebody like Jordan Obita suddenly becomes one of your, you know, most senior professionals. And I think you've sort of seen, I think certainly on the pitch, and I think, you know, sometimes with the way he speaks, you know, I think maybe Obita is kind of maybe emerged as a sort of leader over the course of the season. Obviously, I think that kind of happens naturally when your importance in the team, you know, steadily grows, which has obviously has. And you know, you can, I think, you know, the case in point would be the night that he stepped in to play centre back against Rangers. You know, obviously it wasn't a great night for Hibs, not a great result, a great all round performance, but I don't think, you know, I don't think he let himself down that night, Obita. He was kind of, you could see he was marshalling that back line as well, because he went in and he was the senior guy, you know, alongside Will Fish. So I think it's just in terms of ensuring continuity, in terms of leadership, as well as obviously retaining a very good player. It's a good move for Hibs, because, as you say, you know, there's so many left backs have come and gone over the years. With, you know, Lewis Stevenson being the only constant, so he's kind of to come in and, you know, finally, as you say, finally be the guy who makes that position his own. I think it's, you know, I think Stevenson's appearances are kind of well down on what they were in previous years, and that's not obviously that's not a slight on Lewis Stevenson. You know, he's coming to, you know, to obviously the latter years of his career, and it's more just about how consistent that Jordan Obita has been. And I think, as you say, it was a bit of a no-brainer. I think is the perfect phrase to use for Hibs, and it just ticks a box going into the summer. Allows obviously the manager recruitment team to focus on other areas. Sorry, because, as you say, we're definitely expecting a fair bit of upheaval come that summer transfer window. But that's a few months down the line, just yet. And obviously coming on to now. You might have seen it on our social channels and our newsletter today. It's been 6 months since we launched the Hibs Observer. And obviously, I think before we get to anything else, I think the main thing that we want to get across is obviously our appreciation to everybody who has signed up to subscribe, to our website, who's tuned into one of these videos, has shared something on social media, has signed up for the newsletter, anybody who's kind of spread the word of what we're trying to do, whether that be on social media, word of mouth. We really do appreciate the support that we've had over these last 6 months. It has made all the difference. We've never been able to do kind of half the stuff that we've been able to if it wasn't for folk signing up and parting with their hard-earned to support our content. So yeah, just from me, kind of want to express appreciation for that. A big thank you to everybody who's got involved so far, and we hope to keep you on far down into the future for the rest of this season and beyond. So yeah, just a wee kind of acknowledgement celebration. I don't know, somewhere between acknowledgement and celebration. I don't want to over-egg it, do you know what I mean? But yeah, as I say, Patrick, 6 months. Does it feel as though it's been as long as that? Does it feel much longer? How do you feel about it?
I think a bit yes and no. I think it's been such a. I mean, it's a cliche, but it has been kind of like a whirlwind 6 months. I think I've said that after every month's gone past. That's a whirlwind first month, second month. It's yeah. I think it's just, you know, when you start something like this in the middle of, well, not in the middle, but after the season started, it does feel a bit like, you know, you're almost kind of playing catch up, and, you know, for so long you're just kind of coasting along, being, sort of, are not coasting along, but you're being kind of like brought along by everything that's happening. And then when you kind of get a chance to stop and sort of think, it's about what we've done and some of the content we've done and everything, you do think there has actually been a heck of a lot that, we've sort of put into this. Certainly some sort of late nights up, around the country, and well, in Edinburgh as well. But just, I think it's been really good to do something different, just to try and bring Hibs fans, a sort of different way of covering the club.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't see anyone doing anything like we're doing, and I just think that sort of ability to just sort of cover the club in different ways, to sort of shine a light on different areas of the team that maybe don't often get a light shone on them, has been really, it's been enjoyable. I think certainly for me, and I'm assuming for you as well, just to kind of bring that to the fans, and just like offer them something different. And just to echo your kind of appreciation for everyone who's subscribed, spread the word. It's been, I think when we press the button on day one, there isn't actually a button, but you know what I mean. Like, press the button on day one, and you've got to think, you don't know how this is going to go. We've prepared for it. We've, got this content plan in place. We know who we want to speak to. We know what we want to write about. What if nobody likes it? So certainly there were a few sleepless nights for me at the beginning. Just while, we kind of got off the ground, and there was a sort of hope that, people would appreciate what we were doing, that they'd like what we were doing, that they felt it was, importantly, I think they felt it was worth, subscribing to, because, it is a big ask to, for people to kind of say, yeah, I'm going to pay, an amount of money on a regular basis to, support this. But I think what we've done in the past 6 months, and what we're going to do the next 6 months and the next 6 months beyond that, is really kind of giving people value for money. I think, I look back at some of the stuff we've done, and it is just 6 months, but I think we've done some really good stuff in that time. Whether it's you speaking to Mixu Patalainen about his his hat trick in the 6-2 game, whether it's I sat down with Darren Jackson and just sort of like chatted Hibs for the best part of, I think, an hour and a half. And just being able to kind of bring people sort of like tactical insights that they're not really getting anywhere else with the help of StatsBomb, Y Scout, and I think that sort of stuff. It's just, I think it's good for us to be able to sort of cover the club in a different way, and to give people something different. And I think just in that sort of first 6 months, it's been it's been sort of a bit of a roller coaster, but it's been good. And I think we've obviously, I think we've learned a lot. There's been some good bits, there's been some not so good bits, there's been some mistakes to learn from. But I think like I'm sure you are, I think just really excited for like the next 6 months and whatever there is after that as well. Just really keen to bring people even more sort of in the way of coverage about their club that they might not get anywhere else, and it's the sort of thing they want to read about.
Yeah, definitely. I just absolutely agree with everything you've said there. It's been a really enjoyable, sometimes stressful, but mostly enjoyable 6 months. Just as you say, just trying to cover Hibs differently to everybody else is doing at the moment, and we know we are asking people to pay to read our stuff, but we do I know we're biased, but we do genuinely believe that it is worth getting on board, because, as I said, we're really trying to cover the club in as much depth and as much detail as possible. Whether that's if you've not signed up and you're wondering, what are these two on about at the moment, I can give you a brief overview of, kind of what it is we're trying to bring to fans, and what you would get for your money. As you'll see on the ticker there below, our current offer is for £4 for 4 months full access. So for that, we go to every game, we cover every game in depth. That's pre-match press conferences, post-match content from the game itself. A lot of that is either in written form or obviously appears on our YouTube channel as well. As Patrick's alluded to there, we've done some kind of in-depth features, interviews. We've got on the website just this month, actually, we've got exclusive interviews with both Nick Montgomery and Rocky Bushiri. Plenty of nostalgia in there as well. Pieces with Mixu Patalainen, Darren Jackson. One of our launch pieces was a kind of inside story of Frank Sozzi's time at the club. And then on top of that as well, tactical analysis, different pieces of content there with the Helper Stats Bomb, Y Scout, and obviously contributions as well from the excellent 9125 analysis on Twitter. We've also got a fan columnist, that's Matty Fernie of the popular Long Bangers podcast. So we do like to think that there's something for everybody. And as I said, the details of how to get involved with that are on the ticker below. As we're really looking forward to the next 6 months and beyond. We can expect it's going to be a big summer coming up for Hibs. Kind of a really interesting time to support the club, I'd imagine, Patrick, with the investment coming in from Bill Foley, different changes here and there. It's it is certainly an interesting time to be supporting the club, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you mentioned the Bill Foley investment there, and I think that obviously in its infancy, but that has the potential to really kind of change things for Hibs on and off the park. And when you look at what the Gordon family are doing as well in terms of the sort of general upkeep of Easter Road and HTC, then it should be an exciting time for the club in the not too distant future. And just to add to what you were saying about the content and what we bring, I think it'd be remiss of me not to mention that because we do have these a sort of family of subscribers, we like to call them, who are obviously paying for this content. If there's anything that subscribers want to read about, or they want us to cover, or they'd be interested in sort of reading about, then by all means do get in touch, because it's very possible that something might have slipped our mind. We might have overlooked it, and there's so much that we could potentially be doing, and I think we'd be a bit devastated if there was something somebody wanted to read about and we didn't get around to doing it. And who knows, it might be a better idea than what we've got on our list. So if there is anything or anyone you'd like to hear from, or you'd like us to speak to, or you'd like to read about, then you can contact us in a variety of ways. You can contact us social media, you can email us, you can send up smoke signals, and we'll come and investigate. But I think that's the important thing for me, is that it's not just, I don't feel that we've just got kind of readers and there's sort of like a one-way relationship. I think it is people who are subscribing because they believe in what we're doing and they want to support us. And I think the best way of sort of giving something back is just by saying look, you're the sort of our subscriber family. Get involved. Tell us what you want to read. So this is your chance. Do get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you guys who are handing over your hard-earned, so we obviously want to know exactly what you'd like to see from us, where we can do better, different avenues you'd like us to take coverage down on the short and long term. But as for today, we're probably just going to leave it there for this afternoon. As again, just a final thank you to everybody who's signed up so far, and obviously a thank you for tuning in to listen to us today. As I said in today's newsletter, keep an eye on our website, because we'll have more reaction content from last night's testimonial at Starks Park. Patrick's been speaking to Jair Tavares, and that'll be out at 6 p.m, I believe, on the website. You can hear from him. But yeah, we'll be back over the next few days, ploughing through the international break, awaiting the return of domestic football coming over the horizon. But for now, we're going to leave it there. Thanks as always for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Cheers.